So you wanted to know how to install a sports exhaust on your scooter? In this video I'm going to show you how. It does get a little bit confusing, I will admit, because of all the different parts. You've got the different washers, and I think mainly one of the real confusions would probably be more these washers here as well, these little crush washers. So the way I like to install this is, it's the same with anything really, is to put every bolt in loosely and tighten everything up at the end together. So don't tighten things up too early, but my exhaust is held on right now by just the 2 bolts that go into the head up there. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can definitely see one of them right through there. You may have studs and just nuts, but I've replaced the studs and nuts for bolts. So I'm going to leave them in for now because they're already in and the exhaust is already on. But I just want to show you guys how this all goes together, because it can be a little bit confusing and a little bit daunting. And somebody did ask me how to do it, so that's why I'm doing the video. Forgive me, the exhaust is a year old. It started to rust. It doesn't look great. I'm going to take it off and repaint it at some point, but I checked today and I don't have any high temperature paint left, so we can't do that right now. People said, why is the exhaust white? Because my plans was to do the entire bike white. That's why I did the exhaust white, but I do like the blue. It's growing on me, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to change this in the future or leave the bike blue as it is. But let's get into installing the bracket. Now it's a bit awkward because all the bolts and nuts are different sizes. They're not all one universal size, so you're going to need a few different sockets. And these 2 nuts right here, which will be going onto the back of this bracket right here, are actually from my old exhaust, the Leo Vince exhaust that came with the bike, because I looked yesterday and my 2 nuts were missing. Luckily though, the bolts can't fall out because the silencer's in the way. So the way I would do this, I'd get the exhaust on loosely with the nuts, but first I would actually install this bracket first. So the exhaust isn't on and I've just put this bracket straight on. So we're going to do that now, and I'll just start from scratch. So you've got these 2 long bolts, same size. I'm going to put these washers on first, these crush washers. I'm going to actually try and do this way first, like this. Just get these in first. Try not to drop anything. Like that. Okay. And now I'm just going to try and maneuver this in. Now hopefully you guys won't have your exhaust on yet like I have, so it should be a bit easier to get these bits all into place. But even with the exhaust on, it's not too hard. Pretty obvious which way the bracket goes, because it has to curve around your fan casing right here, the flywheel fan. And now I'm just going to start to thread these in by hand so we can get that bracket lined up. Like that, and like that, and good, they're starting to go into place. So I'm going to just tighten these up now with my impact gun. You can use a spanner and a spanner, or just a socket. I'm not going to do them too tight just yet. Next we want to put these bolts in through here. You'll also have obviously these rubber bushes, and that's kind of obvious how that works with the rubber bushes and the little inserts, the metal inserts. You should be able to figure that out. I'm not going to take mine out because the bushes, as you can tell, are already starting to get worn. Like that. There we go. And get this other bolt through. Just like that. Super easy, guys. And then these nuts go on the back. But again, as well, I'll just show, there's just that one big washer on there. That's all it is. One big washer straight through the front. And then get these nuts on the back. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then we'll just try and get this one on. This one's going to be a little bit more awkward. These ones are a size 12 for some reason. That's loose for now, it's not fully tightened up. Just holding the 30mm spanner on the back of that nut, and we're just going to tighten it up with my impact gun. Again, you don't need an impact gun to do this, guys. Make sure that's nice and tight. It might damage the rubbers a little bit, but I've had these nuts come off as I found out yesterday, so there we go, nice and tight. Hopefully they don't come off. And that's pretty much it. The next thing now is the silencer. It's pretty easy. I would leave this all loose and then tighten up the 2 bolts or nuts first on the cylinder where the exhaust mates with the cylinder, because you want to make sure you've got a good seal there first. That's the most important part. And then tighten all this up afterwards, but mine's already tight, so I'll tighten this up now. And all that's left to do now is just get the silencer in. So you just want to slide the silencer into there. You may want to use some sealant, like some Honda Bond on this, but I won't be doing right now. And then all we've got left now is 2 washers, a bolt, and this bracket. And it's pretty simple, guys. You just have to move it into position like that, get it lined up. 1 washer is going to go here. Hopefully you guys can see that behind this plate, between the exhaust and this plate, just there. And then the other washer is going to go just on top there like that. Now let's see what this is. This is probably the same size. It is. Yeah, that's gone on quite nice and easy. Doesn't have to be dead tight, just tight enough that it's not going to come loose. The most important thing is not to destroy threads. And then finally, what we have left over now is just this spring right here. Just this spring, and we just need to put it in there and pull it across. It can be a bit hard. Yeah, not the easiest thing to do, this bit. Like I say, I think this is probably the hardest part. It's just trying to get this to go into there. Really not wanting to go on. Just be careful of your fingers, guys. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do it, I'd say. It's almost on. There we go. That is hard work. But yeah, I'd say do it that way. Put it in that side first and pull it back into this so you're not pulling the bike forward off the stand. And that's it, it's done. That's how easy it is. It's that simple to get your Yasuni exhaust onto your bike. Hopefully that helped. Like, follow, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Watch it on YouTube if you haven't done already. And I'll see you in the next one, guys.
Yeah. Put the team on my back. Never fold, never crack. The wolf always roll with a pack.